So, Heidi Yetman, president of the Quebec Provincial Association of Teachers, and I represent about 8,000 teachers in the province of Quebec in the English sector.
So what we learned is obviously spring break is going to happen across Quebec. And I want to know from you in your network and from the teachers that you represent, what are you hearing from them about this? Did they want to have their spring break, of course, or did they want to keep going and maybe, end the year a week earlier? I don't know.
Listen, the school calendar is set locally and it's part of our collective agreement. Teachers are paid for 200 days a year. So if they decided that teachers needed to work during the March break, they would have to remove 5 days somewhere else. So obviously, March break is in this amazing little place. It's that long stretch before the end of school between January and June. It's the break in between. So important psychologically, also for students. They know that the first week of March, they're going to have a break. Everybody in the school teams know that they're going to have a break. So there's something to look forward to. And then the March break happens, and then we go to the end. It's the stretch, it's that last sprint to the end. It's so important. It's a really important break. So it amazes me that we were even discussing this. The fact that it's part of our collective agreement, that there's really nothing that you can do. It's a contract that we have. Um, and it surprised me from the get-go that we were even discussing this. So of course teachers are relieved that this is over. We're not talking about this anymore, and I think students are too.
Do you think this year more than ever, this particular break is needed?
Absolutely. In a normal school year, this break is needed. Winter is hard on everybody, and imagine we add the pandemic on top of this. We all need a break at some point, a break from work, but also just a mental break from everything that we're living right now. Students as well as teachers are going through trauma. I've heard from teachers saying that students are very stressed. It's a very difficult year for all of us. So we absolutely need this mental and physical break in March.
Is there an added layer of stress though, now that the kids and the teachers will be home for a week? Do we know what they're going to be doing? Is there a level of stress when it comes to transmission and bringing it back into schools once everyone is back after the March break?
Well, if everybody follows the sanitary guidelines, there should be no problem. If anything, this is a break from the pandemic because they're not going to be in classrooms with 36 students. So that does not concern me at all. Now that we can't fly south, I don't think it's an issue. As a matter of fact, I think it's actually a break from the pandemic just because you're not surrounded by potential carriers. You have a break at home with your immediate family.
True. But now, see, I just was listening to a press conference of our public security minister, and it looks like we won't be seeing any roadblocks in other regions. Quebecers can, move around the province freely, it seems, within reason. And there's no real policing of, well, if I'm getting together in a cottage with another family or getting together with others just on my time off. And of course, that's not the recommendation. It's stay home, but this whole time we haven't been able to control everybody's actions. So what about that aspect?
Listen, there's weekends. People can get together in a cottage on the weekend. So I don't see any difference between that and March break. People can get together in the evenings, so this is nothing. I don't think we should be worried about March break. I think March break is necessary. I think the benefits outweigh the negatives.
Any thoughts on how things are going, how it's progressed, I guess, in schools? It looks like the situation overall is improving in Quebec as a whole. So are there any worries, or are you hearing anything from inside the classrooms?
Well, listen, cases are continuing to come up in schools. The last time I looked, there were almost 1,000 classes closed. So it's still an issue in schools. It will be because you have a lot of people together inside poor ventilated rooms. So That's why I think March break is actually a good break for everybody, just to get away from everybody else and to be isolated a little bit. So yeah, teachers go in every day concerned. They're overwhelmed. They're tired. There's levels of different levels of anxiety. This has been an unbelievable year for all that are in education and in health.
And based on what you've observed and have spoken about with people who are working in schools and how things have progressed because everybody is so tightly packed, just as an aside, my question is the idea of, post-secondary schools partially reopening, let's say once a week. Do you see similar problems being, brought up in those institutions as you've seen in yours?
Absolutely. I have two sons that are in post. I'm going to try that again. I have two sons. One's in university and one's in CEGEP. They're doing all their schoolwork at home, and we were talking about this the other night. And they're trying to figure out how that would work, because if you're only going in one day per week, uh, that means that there are some classes you will be in a presence and some that you won't. So, and here you have adults in classrooms as well. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, and I think that there are concerns again about bringing up the number of cases. I think that that has to be really well thought out.
Interesting though. So as a mother, so you're getting that aspect, and then as a professional, you're getting all of the youth sector, and as you're mentioning, the adult education world. So you're in both of those worlds and have a personal tie to it. So
Absolutely.
I guess we'll know more on that because I'm sort of doing a combination story just to let you know of
Okay.
just schools in general, what we've seen in the
Yeah.
last day. And so I wanted to get your take on that. And of course, I didn't know you had a personal link. Your
Yeah.
children,
Yeah.
your kids are in this, and what are they
And
saying to you?
they're finding it. My kids are finding this very difficult. This is not what they wanted with their education, to be sitting in their rooms day after day on a computer with very little socialization. And thank God they do have friends that they can connect with over online. But this has been very difficult for them. And obviously, they want to be in presence. They absolutely do. But I think health and safety right now is our priority. And I have to also say that my kids are very lucky because they have a home. They each have their own computers in their rooms. I spend my days with them, even though we're all on computers, but they're not alone. So I can understand university students who are stuck alone in an apartment or in residence. And this for mental health, this is really difficult on them, I'm sure.